So, passion. Passion, and that it's a process and not a job. I am convinced that passion is a process. It's something that I've been spending a lot of time on lately because I wanted to understand for myself what passion is and what I'm passionate about. Hey Ruby, what drives passion? What creates passion? How our passions change as we grow and our world changes around us. It was fascinating to me that during the course of my life, my passions have altered. But what I found is that I have interests and skills and aspirations that tend to stay fairly the same. I guess the aspirations change more often than anything else. But for me, what passion is, off the bat, is a meld of your skills, your interests, and your aspirations. Once those three things come together, then you've discovered your passion. And so I started working through all these different like steps and questions and my own self-reflection in order to understand passion. Awesome, thanks Ruby. I'm talking about the same topic, so I'm gonna run through that again. I'm fascinated by the discussion that comes up about it. So what you will get access to at the end of this is a checklist of things that I went through in order to help discover what my passion was. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that so you get an idea of how I worked through it. But I'm also going to talk about why I think passion isn't a job. I'm going to talk about what passion is. I already touched on that a little bit. And I'm going to talk about how you can uncover some of that stuff just for yourself. And then give you access to that checklist at the end so you can go grab it and work through some of the same things I did. So first off, one of the things that I hear a lot, and I think I'm going to take Alina out of here. I'm done with whatever it is she's got going on. One of the things I hear a lot is that passion is that thing that we have to find. It's that kind of mythical beast that we're all looking for. And it's always related to a job. People are always saying, find your passion and you'll never work another day in your life. Well, I think that adage is a lie. I think it's ridiculous. I think when you find your passion, you're going to work harder than you ever have before. I think once I found mine, I started engaging in that passion even more often than I did before because now I'm aware of it. And I think awareness is a big part of passion, and I'll talk about that later too. Once you start to realize that that ideal state of never having to work a day in your life doesn't exist, and you are able to assign your passion to the work that you love to do, I think you'll find that you need to pull yourself back and you need to hold yourself back so you don't overwork yourself by focusing so much on your passion that you forget all else. I think it's a slippery slope. And sure, it may be true that you never have to work when you love what you're doing, but that's different. When you're passionate about something, you get engaged, you get focused, you dig in, you start doing more. Passion drives you, and that's different than not working. So off the bat, let's get rid of that adage that passion. Once you find your passion and what you love to do, you're never going to work a day in your life. I think that's ridiculous. Now, part of that too, for me, is that I don't think things are that easy. Once we find what our passion is and we start digging in and focusing on it and taking part in it, and we want to learn more about it. We want to grow into our passion. We want to grow with our passion. We want to achieve more with our passion. So it's never going to be super easy to work through to work on or to achieve these passion projects that we get involved in once we start to realize what our passion is. I'm going to get to understanding your passion in just a second, but first I want this high-level overview of that it's not super easy to get there. You need some guidelines and some steps, so we're going to talk about what that is. Now, why you need those, I think, is because we need to achieve. We need to not struggle. We need to learn and grow. And once we start doing that, then things get even better, right? Because now we've accomplished, and now we have a new level of understanding and achievement to reach. And that's part of what passion is. We become so passionate about something that we want to know the ins and outs and the intricacies of whatever it is. So finding your passion is not an easy thing. Experiencing finding your passion is not an easy thing. And it may take you 30 years to get there. It took me 30 years to understand what mine was. But once I went through some of these steps that I've got in this worksheet I'm going to tell you about, it got me there. And I'm excited to continue to explore that. And I'm going to be doing that for the next 6 months on my blog. So if you're not already following me, follow me on Twitter or on Periscope or on Facebook, whatever your social media channel is, at Coming Out Tarot, so that you can keep up with me as I go through these steps about how to find your passion, so that I can share with you the things that I went through so that you can find them. Now, I already said passion is not a job, right? Passion is a process, but it's not a job. So if you're exploring your passion or you're following your passion, how are you going to get paid? How does that even happen? And for some people, it seems to be extremely easy, right? We see these Hollywood stars that are suddenly overnight successes, even though they're really not. They've been working on a craft since they were little. They've been struggling through auditions that somebody said no to them on. They were probably shitty once upon a time, and they got better because they worked at their craft. They worked at their skills. They already had their interest. They knew that it was drama, theater, movies, whatever. And they had the aspiration to get there. And they identified what their aspirations were. So they were clear on what their skills were. They were clear on what their interest was. And they were clear on their aspirations. And that led them through to their passion so that they could be successful. So how do they get paid? They determined what the job was that their passion fit into. Hey, X. So while passion is not a job related to your passion is how you get paid. So I want to make those two things distinct before we talk about how you find out what your passion is. So passion is definitely not a job. The job is the end state. Now, once you start to identify those skills, interests, and aspirations, then you're going to start narrowing down what the field is that you can be most successful in while pursuing your passion. And that is how you get paid, by pursuing your passion. So as an example, when I started working through what my passion was, I started thinking about what the things were in my life, those skills that I had that people came and asked me about, or that I knew I was successful at. I started thinking about the interests that I had throughout my entire life, from when I was little until now. And they don't tend to change that much, but new ones crop in. And then I started thinking about what it is that I've always been wanting to achieve right now. Because what I want to achieve when I was 16 was totally different than what I want to achieve now when I'm almost 42. So those things are going to shift throughout your life, which is why it's interesting to review your passions, I think, regularly. But once I started thinking about those things, I said, okay, great. I have been passionate about being a project manager. I thought I had been passionate about being a leader or a manager of people. I thought I had been passionate about being a tarot reader and entrepreneur. But when I thought about my life, being a project manager has certain skills related to it. Hey, Alexi, those skills are what I love to do. That's what I'm passionate about, is employing those skills. So I love to organize things. I love to figure out steps between A and B. Part of the thing you've probably heard me say about tarot, I love to help people take their next step and understand what those action steps are between where you are today and what you're trying to achieve. Hey, money. So those skills of determining steps and action items, that's passion for me. In addition, when I think about the tarot entrepreneur work, similarly, my passion is figuring out, how do I get this business to run? How do I get other people to be successful? And how do I coach you into getting there? Hey, Raul. So that's actually my passion. Those things are my passion. The end state is the function of being a tarot reader or being a project manager. That's just the job. That's the financial end game to pursuing my passion of helping other people achieve their next step. But I had to understand my skills, I had to understand what I was interested in, and I had to understand what I hoped to do in order to understand what my passion was. So, passion is not a job. It's not a job at all. The job is the end state. That's how you get paid to do what you're passionate about. And when you know what you're passionate about, and we're going to talk about how to figure that out, when you know what you're passionate about, that's when you can start to be more successful. That's when you can start to realize that you're in the right place at the right time, rather than thinking there's always something better, because you can start to hone in on and achieve more in your passion with the end game of the job that gets you paid in order to be able to continue to pursue your passion. So double whammy there, right? Once you know your passion, you can get in the right job and be happy. All right, so what is passion? I touched on this at the beginning. Passion is skills, interests, aspirations. Those three things. Once you got those three things down, then you figured out what your passion is. I've got a great tarot spread that I use for this. Actually, I've got two that help identify in detail your skills, interests, and aspirations, so that we can focus on what your passions are and what your next steps are. I really am excited about this tarot reading because I built both of them. Actually, I built them so that I could work with you on your passions and figure out what they are. When you figure out this checklist and you go through this checklist I'm going to tell you how to get, it will inform that tarot reading so you can get even a deeper understanding of your passion and what to do next and how to move forward. So just know that's out there for you. Now, I think passion has to constantly be fed. It's kind of like, this is weird, it's kind of like yeast. If you don't keep that passion going, it's just gonna die. It's kind of like your life or a child. If you keep feeding it, it's going to live. So your passion, you have to feed those interests, you have to feed those skills. So once you know what your skills are and what your interests are, then you just keep advancing those interests, you keep advancing those skills, and your passion continues to grow. Now, as your life changes, you may find that your aspirations change or your interests change. As those change, then you're able to work through, has my passion changed, through these tarot spreads that I built. I think it's an easy way to identify your passions as your life changed by using these tarot spreads. I'll also add to that, passion is awareness. It's hard for a lot of us, I think, to identify our skills, to identify our interests, much less to identify our aspirations and what we hope to achieve. I mean, that's a lot, right? But to be aware of those things gives you the freedom to understand what your passion is and then have a future impact on and with your passion. Because once you're passionate about something, you know you're going to have an impact on somebody else's life. And ultimately, isn't that what we all really want? To change somebody else's life, including our own? I mean, we want to make the world a better place, right? Passion gets us there. So passion is awareness. If you aren't aware of your skills and your interests and your aspirations, you're not going to understand your passion. And half the battle is understanding what those are. So you can do that either on your own, you can do that with a friend. Hey friend, what am I really, really good at? Sitting down and making a list of what you're actually interested in, which is super simple. The basic idea, right, is to sit down and go, well, what do I want to go do? Or what do I find myself doing all the time? What do I want to do when I get home from work? Having a beer isn't an interest, by the way, but maybe that you're having a craft beer is an interest and that you have an interest in the craft beer industry, right? See where you can take your interests. Similarly, with skills, you might ask somebody, what do you come to me for help for? Or reflect on that. What is it that people come ask you about? People ask me about Outlook and Excel, almost any Microsoft product, including Microsoft Project, all the time. I somehow get Excel. I get, hey Andre, welcome to your first day on Periscope. I get Outlook. I get those Microsoft products. I just get it. I don't know why. It's one of those things, and not a lot of, there are a lot of people out there that don't. So one of the things that I like to do is teach people how to use those things. I love to teach people. I love to see change. I am passionate about people changing their lives from one state to another, taking that next step. And it took me some reflection to realize it's not Excel that I love. Who loves it? I mean, maybe there's somebody out there who loves Excel, but it's not me. I just happen to love to share with people how they can get better at it. I like to help you get from point A to point B. I love that. So I am passionate about teaching other people. Teaching is the job. Teaching is the skill. Getting you from point A to point B is the passion, right? So it took me a minute to figure out that my skills of teaching and my interests in other people achieving is really driving towards my aspiration of helping people be better, and that is getting me to my passion of taking you from step A to step B. So you can ask other people what you're good at. You can reflect on what you're good at. You can ask other people what your skills are. You can think about what other people come to ask you questions for. And one of the easiest ways to do this, I think, is to think about what you spend your money on. Once your bills are paid, right? Your house is paid for, paid for. Your monthly house bill is paid. Your mortgage is paid. Your utilities are paid. You've got groceries in the fridge, so you know you've got food, shelter, clothing, right? Basic necessities are taken care of. Now you've got a little money left over, and if you do, what do you spend that money on? Hey Bernie, what do you save that money for? That's where your interests lie. Right? So you figured out some skills by talking to people or reflecting on what you're asked for help on. Your interests lie in what you spend your money on. Are you spending it on going golfing? Are you spending your money on going out with your friends? Are you spending your money on your family? Are you spending your money on trips and traveling? That's where your interests lie. So now you've built up some skills. Now you've built up some interest just by reflecting on how you spend your money. Now all you got to do is figure out what your hope is. What's your aspiration? No, that's your interests. That's your interest, X. So what do you hope to do? Do you hope to build a museum? Do you hope to build a collection that rivals somebody's collection? Hey, Tuppence. Once you know your skill, your interests, and your aspiration, then you're getting closer to your passion. I'd be better off if anybody could give me some money. So that's the direction that you can take, how to understand your skills, your interests, and your aspirations. Now, I did a blog post a little bit ago, to start a YouTube channel. Great. So now start to figure out what your skills are. Add your skills to your interest, to your aspiration of starting the YouTube channel, so your collections in your YouTube channel, and you're almost there. You've got 2/3 of identifying your passion. Once you've got all that figured out, then you're headed towards figuring out your passion. Now, I've got this checklist that I built off of some of the steps that I took to help figure out what my passion is. I'd love to share the checklist with you. All you got to do to get it is go over to comingouttaro.com and sign up for my newsletter. If you sign up for the newsletter, the first email you're going to get has a link to that checklist. It's got 8 easy steps on it, things you can think about, focus on, and check off as you start to figure out what your passion is. Go get it. Tell me what step you're on or what things you've already achieved. I'd love to hear. You can drop me a line either at Coming Out Tarot on Twitter. Sure, the website is comingouttaro.com. All one word, no spaces or hyphens or anything. comingouttaro.com. And there's an easy little button in there to sign up for the newsletter. You'll get that checklist. And check out the blog posts as well. I've got some blog posts that I've posted, 2, and I'm working on the 3rd one. One about passion is a process and not a job. Yep, there you go. Thanks, Mook. The second is actually about how you should know your passion or what your friends say you're good at. So it's delving a little bit further into what other people might recognize as your passion that you may not have been aware of. And this Wednesday, I've got another post coming out about how to identify your skills. I'll continue that process by identifying your interests in a couple weeks and then identifying your aspirations. In the meantime, go get that checklist and start working through some of the stuff in there, because there's also some worksheets that follow it that'll help you work through those questions with some easy guides on how to focus on the things that I worked through as I was identifying my passion. So I hope you find that helpful. I hope that checklist is helpful. Drop me a line. Let me know how you're working through. Sure, thank you, Ruby. Let me know how you're doing working through the passion checklists and the worksheets. I'd love to hear about it. And I would also encourage you to join me on the weekdays about 7:15 Central. I do a tarot intention of the day. You can see me live talking about how to be more mindful in your day with the pull of a tarot card. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I want you to pursue your passion and let me know how it's going. So I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you.